So last year I hinted at doing a sewing room reorganization series because things were just out of control. And I've put off this video for quite a while now because I just didn't want to deal with it. So it's time to talk about the sewing room reorganization project. Hi, I'm Tom, I'm the ColourBlind quilter. Oh, and what a mess we're talking about today. So quick background for you. I used to sew in a small room in my house. It was kind of called or classed as a CPU room, so like a small office. And that was my sewing space. And it quickly grew out of the space. There wasn't enough room for everything. I had a small desk that I had to sew on, that I had to cut on and try and do everything else on. So it just wasn't really working for me. I am a voice teacher, so I teach voice lessons from my house. And so in my office, in the house, is where I do all my main work, but I also had a piano and plenty of space. And so we thought, well, what if we were to set up two desks and I could have a desk for sewing on and a desk for cutting on? And so I moved and switched my rooms around. The old sewing room became the room with the piano where I teach singing, and my office became my office stroke sewing space. And I thought it made quite good sense because, you know, I do all this YouTube stuff, and so having it behind me, if I'm sitting editing a video, I can just turn around and pick up something, or, you know, it made sense. But the problem is that new build houses in the UK, and I'm sure in many other countries as well, just come with no storage at all. We have 2 cupboards in a 5-bedroom house, and there's nothing else. Anything else that's in this house we've had to put in ourselves. So that led to just disorganized chaos. And so herein lies my problem. I sew in that room, and I'm quite happy sewing in that room. I have plenty of space to stretch out projects when I'm quilting them or when I'm cutting big pieces of fabric. Got space to swing tables around to give me lots of space to do whatever I'm working on. But there's no storage space, okay? And you'll see this in a short while as I give you a tour. So I kind of rely on using boxes, throwing things under desks and hoping for the best, and it's not a creative space. And I swithered because on one hand I feel quite embarrassed about this, and I mentioned this in a previous video. You watch videos on YouTube and everybody has these glamorous, beautiful, pristine sewing rooms where there's not a single thread out of place, and I look like somebody came in and there was a tornado went off. I was a bit embarrassed about sharing this, but I thought, well, this will help me because other people out there will maybe be in the same situation and have figured out solutions and can maybe help me with advice and guidance. So that's why I'm doing this, is A, to do this because it needs to be done, but B, also to tap into the collective wisdom of the quilting community. But the reason this came about was during the August quilting challenge. I didn't know where anything was, and I was finding that I was sitting down to do 50 minutes and I was like, well, where's that ruler? Or where's this piece of fabric? Or where's this? And so things are all over the place, and I spent more time looking for stuff than actually doing quilting, and I don't want to spend time looking for stuff. Yeah. But what I've discovered is I started to feel put off by it, and I actually started to feel like walking into this mess, it was difficult to be creative, and I have to work in that space. So it was starting to affect my work, as in I found myself sitting at the dining room table with my laptop working instead of going and working on my proper, you know, 2-screen ergonomically set up space for working. So it was starting to affect that as well. Plus as well, like having stuff sitting around that's not properly stored, either lying on the floor or just lying about, it gets dusty, damaged, things fall over, things crack. I've got chipped rulers, fabric that's going to have to be washed before it can be used now. And when quilting things are so expensive, you don't really want to be breaking rulers or, you know, potentially damaging things. So at the end of the day, you just want to close the door and forget all about it. And that's probably why I got into the place where I was with the big pile of whips and UFOs that I was talking about in getting my Sojo video back, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to watch that. So I think it's time to just show you my sewing room. So I have filmed a tour of the space. Space has gotten messier since this because I had to look for something for doing something for work, and I had to turn the room upside down to try and find it. It is a little bit messier now, but here is my tour of my current sewing room setup. Please be kind in the comments. So I am going to give you an unfiltered look at my room, and no judgment. This is real life, unfiltered, very messy. So let me guide you through my mess. Hopefully you can hear me okay because it is sideways rain here in Scotland today. So this room is my office stroke sewing room. This is my delightfully pristinely clean sewing space. So I have a Bernina, as you can see, and I do all my sewing here. I have a great cable management system of just throw it on the floor. And then over here I have my cutting space. You can see this is the blocks that I was working on during the August quilting challenge, getting those together. Then underneath here is where I store fabric. So I have these boxes. These boxes here are full of fabric. That's a project. That's a project, and that's random. This is random. This is big bits of fabric. That's cuts. Oh, that's the leftover fabric from these projects. So that's the binding and the borders for that quilt. This is my thread box, and then behind that is random. And then that is a future projects bin. So that's actually an old duvet cover for a Can You Make a Quilt from a Duvet video. And then back here I have my unusable scraps bin fan because it gets warm in here in the summer. And then rubbish, more blocks. This is my office space. This is where I edit all my videos, record podcasts and everything like that over here. And a bag of treats for the dog. Try and bribe him to stay quiet while I'm filming. Then I have my backdrop. And then over here is storage. So this is, well, actually I don't know what that is. That's a box of something. I know that there is the interfacing stuff you use to make bags is in there. And then I'm not sure what that foamy stuff is. This is the backing for a quilt project. These charm packs over here are for another video project. These are some sewing books I got for my birthday. A little bit Missouri here. Here's a jar of Wonder Clips, weights for cutting fabrics, random crap everywhere. And then in here is storage for filming equipment, so light stands, mic stands. I bought these from IKEA down here, these things. They're drawer organizers for scrap management. It's going really well planning my scraps. Although there's 2 bolts of corner fabric, bone and dove. 2 favorite background colors. Bernina thingy for that. No idea what those were. Oh yeah, those. I was practicing on my overlocker. Cloths that were all raggy on the edge trying to do it. Harder than it looks to go around corners on an overlocker. Yeah, discovered that. So yeah. And then as I say, this is my sewing space here. I keep 2 flower pots full of things that I use. But I keep everything that I use regularly in this little container so that it's right beside my sewing machine. These are all my salvages from trims. I use these as leaders for the sewing machine. Quilting gloves. What else? I've got a paintbrush for cleaning the sewing machine. Seam picker, that's a must. And then underneath here I have a scrap bin that has scraps in it. And these are what I thought might be usable stuff, but looking at it, I mean, that's just a list of just salvages. So, you know. And that's a quilting test. Trying to get tension correct and 2 gauges to get the sewing machine tension correct. So yeah, so that's where I keep that. So that needs to be going through, so I bet that's going to be fun. And then this little bin here is my thread bin. So all my ends of thread are supposed to go in here. So yeah, that's a kind of little tour of the current state of disaster. Let's go and have a look at some of the other disasters. Now, this is room number 2. Here's my lovely serger that I got for my birthday. Very excited about that. Still not quite sure how to use it, but, you know, just need to practice. Little quilt top here. You might recognize that quilt from my August Quilting Challenge videos. This is my new kind of backdrop for filming in here because it's tidier. Now, this is Mount Quiltmore. So this is a pile of, these are finished quilts. So these are pattern tests. This is my Christmas present quilt. These are all pattern tests that are waiting to be quilted and loved. Can't show you this one because it's a secret project in progress for a present for somebody. This is a Christmas table runner that has been waiting to be quilted for 2 years. This has been sitting since 2019 waiting to be quilted. It's all sandwiched and ready to go. Just haven't got around to it, but I have a plan for it now. So yeah, so that's where I keep quilts and crap. There are more quilts in there, but we're not opening that. So yeah, so this is room number 2. Okay, now this is room number 3. Now this is our guest room. This is a chest of drawers. So in here, this is the Christmas fabric repository. This is where I keep all of my Christmas fabrics. Don't know why they get their own special drawer, but they do. There is mountains and mountains and mountains. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, that's lovely. Didn't know that was in there. Ooh, more Christmas. Oh yeah, look at this. Wow, I didn't know these were in here. This is the problem that I've got. Okay, now this is room number 1, 2, 3, 4. This used to be my sewing space, as you can tell from the quilting artwork on the wall. This one, of course, is my favourite one. I will not buy any fabric until I use my fabric stash at home, I said. And then I laughed and laughed. So yeah, this used to be my sewing room. So some odds and sods and bits and pieces and bobs. Now this here, chest of drawers again. This was where I used to store all my quilting stuff until it expanded and grew. So there is random stuff in here. More random stuff. Fabric. So this is remnants from projects. This was samples of fabric. There's lemon fabric. Oh, this is orange as well. This is lovely. I think that's Moda linen. Moda, is it? Or Makeover. It's the Linnea fabric. That's nice. Here's a test block from the very first test pattern I ever did. It's nice and colourful. Cheerful. A little bit of leftover red fluffy stuff. Fleece. We've got another one of fabric here. This is quite a lot of fat quarters, and I've got this fabric. I don't know if the camera will show the texture, but it's got a really odd, strange texture on it. Really nice. Yeah, lots of stuff. Geometric spots, dots, stripes, swirls, curls. Fat quarter pack. A very old jelly roll that I bought like 15 years ago. Not quite 15 years ago. Moda jelly roll. Yeah, beautifully tidy and organised. This was my first attempt at tidying. So this was my scrap management. So you can see I've got a basket of things, folded things there. This is the first time I ever tried strip quilting. You know, you get a piece of paper and you throw strips to it. Nice. Modern scrap bag. This is polycotton fabric, so I keep it here just in case of anything, but I don't use polycotton fabric, I use cotton fabric. These are cushion covers I started to make 15 years ago. These are bits of curtains. Thought they were quite nice, the pattern, so I thought I would keep it for table runner. Polycotton offcuts. These are test churn dash. This is the offcuts from that block that I showed you. And then down here, this is fabric for an upcoming video. This is leftover red fleece. That's Instabright. That's a table runner from a pattern test. My little quilting library here, along with some shirts for cutting up. And then in my cupboard here, I have a box up here of old shirts and jeans that I'm going to cut up for a project. Just a few jackets. We won't talk about the jackets. Oh, and these are some quilting tools that I bought. That's the very first cutting mat I ever bought. And then rulers, and then a square cut plus slot thingy, which I like, but I always forget that I have because it's hidden away in here. One more room to go. And then this is my bedroom. This was attempt 2 organisation. So this is charcoal fabric wadding. Oh, look, I actually labelled it, and I know what it is and what size and how much I have, so you know, that's helpful. So this is Mount Scrapmore. So in here, this is orphaned, this is HST. Bonus HSTs or just HSTs. This is empty. What does this say? Thin strips, small width. Okay, so yes, this is when I was trying to organise and figure out scraps. So these are not with the fabric scraps, but they're strips. And then in here somewhere should be another one, pieces of quilt blocks. So that's, you know, when you make a strip set and then you have some left, like, or, you know, you make a test block and you've got a 9 patch, or there's a 4 patch. So that's bits of quilt blocks, or leftover bits of quilt blocks. These are full width of fabric strips, so they are varying sizes. So you can see there's like maybe 3-4 inch wide, and there's a 1 inch wide. So that's full width of fabric, so that's selvage to selvage. And this is goodness knows what. That looks like a bag of selvages. Probably stuffing, so for a dog maybe. These are larger strips, so these are still not width of fabric, but they're larger than that last bag, whatever that means. These are crumbs, so they are tiny scrappy bits. No idea. And these are peanuts. Ooh, this is a fat quarter of lemon Moda grunge. So nice. I do love that fabric. So expensive though. I'm not sure it's worth the money, but it is lovely. Moda grunge. So these are big bits. Ooh, there's midnight. This is midnight grunge from Moda. So pretty. These two together. So very pretty. I have to make a project with those. Oh, and then this is my collection of grunge. So these are fat quarters of Moda grunge. I can tell you what colours there is. There is tangerine, smoke, vanilla, no, sugar cookie, sorry, purple, fig, ash, berry pie, and clear water. Lovely palette, very nice. Don't know what I bought them for, can't remember. And then these were actually leftovers from something else. I actually made a quilting notebook cover for a project and then never did a video on it. So I think, oh no, there's more stuff in the attic. We're not going in the attic because it's very cold up there. But in the attic there is, what is in the attic? Oh yeah, there's like big massive wadding rolls. So they're, you know, like 2, 3, 4 meter sections of wadding, batting if you want to call it that. There is a massive bag of scrap pieces as well. And then there's a 7 meter roll of orange fleece fabric. And then there are other quilts that are finished up there and clip bags. And I think there's fabric up there as well. Yeah, so you can see it's a bit of a mess. Okay, so that was difficult for me, and editing that was horrible, watching that, because it is embarrassing. And slightly ashamed of that. I kind of feel like I have this problem where I watch other people's videos when they're coming up with storage spaces and solutions to these problems, and I don't feel like I have that kind of creative thinking or creative flow that they seem to have, where they go and get, you know, an IKEA bookcase and a piece of MDF and some casters and turn it into this amazing sewing table that does all these wonderful things. I don't kind of feel like I have that creativeness in me. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I decided to do this series as well, was to try and help me figure out solutions to this. As you can see, there is no storage space in that room at all. Apart from the bookcases that we have, there's nothing else. Nothing. No cupboards. There's drawers that are filled with work stuff and paperwork and equipment for work. And so there's just nowhere to put anything. And so these are my aims for this video series. I wanted to be upfront and honest about the issues that I have and show you the problems that I'm facing, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that is in a similar situation to this. I do have a good sized room, and I will say this, I feel very lucky to have a dedicated space to sewing. I know other people don't, they sew on a dining room table in the corner of a room or something like that, so I am very grateful that I have the space. I'm not whining and whinging about that. I am very grateful for having it, but I feel like the space could work better for me. But it is a really odd shaped room. It has a box window and it has these sloping roofs, so it really restricts the height of things that you can put in that room. There's only really one small section of the room where you can put tall cupboards or bookcases. The rest of it has to be kind of waist height, so that limits how much storage you can put in the space. I also need to use it as a guest room sometimes. When we have family staying over, we end up filling 4 bedrooms with people. So I do need space to put a double blow-up bed in there, or the space to rejig the room to make space for a double blow-up bed. So that kind of complicates things as well. It is first and foremost my office where I do my full-time job that pays all the bills. So I need to make sure that that is fit for purpose so that I can work in there every day and do what needs to be done for work. And so I wanted to share with you the steps that I was going through, things that I was looking at, solutions I was considering to try and turn this into a clean, tidy, organised space that's conducive to creativity and that I want to actually be in. And because I don't really feel that creative and organising solutions and things like that, what I thought would be good is to see if there are kind of experts or people that create things that I can talk to and perhaps interview about their particular problems and how they came up with solutions for them. So I'm hoping to speak to some people about that and share their advice and tips that they might also have that you might find helpful. So some of the stuff that I'm going to be looking into includes researching storage options. So there's more than just bookcases and cupboards. You know, there are sewing desk cabinets that have pull-out drawers and things like that. So there's those kind of storage solutions. Be looking at desks as well, at tables and chairs, all those kind of things for sewing on, sewing surfaces, and chairs that kind of give you support for your posture and your back so that you don't end up sitting hunched. So be looking into those kind of things as well, because you know, you spend a lot of time sitting at a sewing machine, and I often end up like this because my chair's not the best. So looking into that too. looking at how I manage my projects, because the boxes that I showed you, whilst they're a good idea, they're not really very nice to look at. So is there a better way to do that? And equally, all the scraps. I mean, I have scraps that I showed you, but I also have scraps in my attic as well. So finding a better way to manage those scraps, either just getting rid of them because I'm never going to use them, or organizing them into different sizes and pieces and things like that, and trying to work on projects to use them up. I'll be looking at how I can manage my fabric and notions as well, finding somewhere to store that that's clean and safe and stops it getting dusty, and then somewhere to store or organize all my notions so that they're protected from damage, but they're easily accessible when you're sitting sewing. And then, because it's great to do the initial organization and you look at it, you're like, oh, that's wonderful. But how do you keep it like that? Which is often where some people will falter. You go to all that effort and then within 6 months you're back to where you started again. So what can I do to keep the space organized? What tips and routines can I establish to create a clean and tidy space all the time? So I'll be talking about those kinds of things as well. So I hope you will find this series helpful, and you'll find some of the ideas and solutions that I come up with helpful. And if you're like me, where you're not particularly creative about organizing solutions or storing stuff like that, hopefully there'll be something in here that can maybe help you. I would love though if you will share your experiences and stories in the comments of this video, and any advice or wisdom that you might have to help me organizing and storing my stuff in a room that has no storage space. Then I would love to hear from you. So please do leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you did find this video helpful, it would really help me out if you would give this video a thumbs up, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you get notified when the rest of the videos in this series come out, or any of the other videos that I'm working on this year. So thanks for joining me and following along on this little expose, so to speak, of my sewing space. And I look forward to coming back with lots of progress and updates in the next part of this series. So until then, take care, and I will see you next time.